This is the time to stand up now. We can't carry on like this. This is the time to stand up now. We can't carry on like this.
I am indeed Raja Mia, and this is indeed Recusant 9. Rent free in his head. Rent free. As for you, Debbie Abrahams, you're a liar. Sue me all you want if you can. You're a liar. You doctored evidence and tried to have me falsely arrested. JIM McMAHon doctored, falsified, whatever the phrase is, manipulated. Manipulated is the phrase. The blowing up of Aruchar's car and tried to incriminate me. And once the video evidence went out, these two MPs, and they're neck deep, they're drowning in this. They are drowning in this because what they're now saying is that they're agreeing with us. They're agreeing with us that the report is not fit for purpose. Let's get over to Moyeb. Let's get him on video. He's in Parliament. He went down to confront Brother Jamal. Let's give him a call. Senor Pe.
How you doing?
Are you all right?
How you doing, guys? Yeah. How you doing? I'm standing here on Westminster Bridge, for those who know this area, with Big Ben on my left shoulder, Houses of Parliament over on my right, and just a little swing over, for those who don't know London or maybe the Westminster Pier, and with the London Eye, just what's in background.
Moyeb, have you got any samosas? Have you took him any samosas?
Unfortunately, I have to eat some for my lunch. I was a bit hungry. But what can we say? What can we say?
He won't come out and see you, will he? He won't confront you, will he? He won't see you. He won't. You know, he's hiding. He is hiding.
But Samosa is hiding from the people of Oldham. He's hiding from his constituents. People have been trying to arrange meetings in his surgeries. Apparently, there are no dates for forward surgeries.
He's cancelled all his surgeries.
That's never heard of a politician, either in a local council, an MP, European Parliament, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, the Mayor of London, anywhere, you name it. Politicians need to have a connect with the local public. And the key connection here is the surgeries with their constituents. And Jim McMahon, Samosa McMahon, call him whatever you want, is now in hiding. It's official. It's a joke. He's just stood up in Parliament and rambled on. The man is a numpty. We need a public inquiry, and let's see what an independent public inquiry finds.
We need a judge-led public inquiry, because what we've got here, Moyeb, it's two MPs complicit in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape, systematic grooming and gang rape of the town's children. That's what we have here.
Absolutely.
Two MPs involved, incriminated in the systematic grooming and gang rape of the town's children. And now McMahon, the weasel, the coward, is in hiding. He won't come out.
Where are you, McMahon? Where are you, McMahon? I'm here, right on your doorstep, pal. I'm waiting. I'm on Westminster Bridge. How about you invite me over for a cup of coffee in the members' lounge? We know you watch these programs, Jim, and all the cronies. Well, I'll tell you exactly where I'm standing, mate. I'm standing with Big Ben on my left shoulder on Westminster Bridge, right, standing in front of Westminster Pier. Come and find me.
He's a coward.
And buy me a coffee.
He's not
buying Roger a coffee. Buy me a coffee, Jim.
He's not got Irish in me with him. You know, the man he gave it, you know, the mobster he gave a reference to. He's not got Abdul Jabbar, daddy's mate, to protect him. Come on, Jim! Jim! Where are you, Jim?
Well, it's somewhere in hiding. Well, I'll tell you, Jim. We know you watch the program. Tell me where you want to meet me. I know you may be an MP, mate, for several years, but you might be quietly surprised to find out that I know Westminster just as good as well as you do. I know all the nooks and crannies. Just let me know where you are, and I'll come and find you. We'll have a coffee together.
He's a coward.
In a civilized manner.
He's a coward. The Shadow Minister for Farmers is a coward. He is an absolute coward.
Yeah. Tell him his flock is here to see him. I'm one of his flock. I'll be the sheep, and he can be the shepherd. Well, come on, Mr. Shepherd, come and find your flock, because I'm going astray, mate. Where are you?
Julie Haywood says, "Come on, Jimbo. Are you a man or a mosque?"
No, he's a samosa. He's a samosa.
He's a snivelling snake. That's what he is. He's a snivelling snake.
Oh,
no,
is that a phone call for you, Roger?
Yeah, no, ignore that, mate. Don't worry, it's Azad. Azad wanted to speak to me, so he's going to have to wait. I keep telling Azad, I do these transmissions and not to call me when I'm doing them, but, you know.
Well, funnily enough, I literally spoke to him just before this transmission. He called me. So,
did you see him in the public gallery? He was laughing his head off in the public gallery, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. But what I find quite strange is the fact that McMahon, McShady, all these different acronyms and names that people have for him.
Brother Jamal! Brother Jamal!
Brother Jamal, him and his Labour cronies, Chatterton and the crew, thought to protect themselves by the first backlash from the residents of Oldham, most of who were elderly people who turned up, as if like we were going to attack them.
Maya, a serious thing, right? This is serious. They're both MPs of our town. Our town was outraged at the report coming out. Neither of them have had the decency to face any of the constituents. Forget us.
Well,
people.
All three MPs. All right.
Yeah.
We know it's fair dues to Burnham. We might call him body bank Burnham and all sorts, but the man turned up. At least give him the credit for that. Whether we like it or not, whether we like his answer, he turned up. Well, what about the three MPs of this town? What about McMahon? What about Debbie Abrahams? What about Angela Rayner? Come on, then. All three of you seem to be prolific tweeters. You're prolific on social media. You're prolific in calling other parties random names. You're prolific in writing to people's employers. You're prolific in complaining to the Serious Crime Agency. You're prolific in complaining to the education ministers. You're prolific in complaining to the schools commissioners. God knows, and every commissioner you can think of. The cats commissioner, the dogs commissioner.
I'm surprised he's not phoned my mum. I'm surprised he's not phoned my mum.
Yeah. Well, come on, Mr. Serial Complainer. Bring it on. I'm here on your doorstep, mate, waiting for an invite for a coffee in the House of Parliament. And if you're that short, I'll buy you the coffee, mate, and the afternoon tea. But I just need an invite.
Mate,
I've seen your...
he'll just claim on expenses.
I've seen his... he'll claim on expenses.
He'll just claim on expenses.
And his contribution in Parliament now for an MP, that's shocking.
No, mate, it's
absolutely
brilliant.
Shocking.
Rent-free in his head. He goes to bed dreaming about me. He wakes up in the morning dreaming about me. And do you know what, McMahon? You're going to be in prison dreaming about me because we're not letting this go. You are complicit. You and Debbie Abrahams are complicit in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Why are the MPs? Why are the MPs refusing to support calls for a public inquiry?
Well, maybe we need to go a bit more right-wing and call for the guillotine to come back. Well, I've got a prime candidate, McShady, to walk the walk, or walk the plank, or walk anything. I'm here, man. We know his cronies watch this programme, every single one of them. And you know, Raja, following that council meeting the other night, people reached out from various parts of the Labour Party to you to approach me and to
crying, please leave us alone, please no more, please leave us alone.
Yeah, and for people who listen to this programme, you may think it's not true, but I can assure you, very, very senior members of the Oldham Labour Party have been approaching individuals, including Raja, to come and speak to me and other people. My goodness, you know where I live, boys. You know where I live. You know, I've been living there for bloody 50 years, in the same house, in the same place. Well, you know what you did to my house anyway, so
they tried to burn your house down. You don't know where I live. They tried to burn your house down.
The only reason I didn't make a big deal about it is my family lives there.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to your mum at the time.
And the kids live there. So I had to sort of let it go.
Downplay it. Yeah.
Downplay it. The main thing is, Jim, we heard what Sam had to say. And she's blatantly named him, mate.
She's called him a corrupt and a liar. A victim of CSE has called him corrupt and a liar.
A victim of the grooming and gang rape of kids in our town has called you a liar, a criminal, God knows what everyone's going to call it, corrupt. I mean, those are shocking things for a shadow minister. Well, come out there, come out of Parliament, come out from your privileged position where you can say anything. Come here on Westminster Bridge and say what you need to say.
No,
I don't invite you in, mate. Come out here and I'll say it. Say it here.
I'm going to go to his office, Greater Manchester Police. You listen to me very carefully. I am going to go with 100 of my people to Jim McMahon's office at Chadderton Town Hall at a date and time of our choosing. He has cancelled his surgeries. He's refusing to take appointments. We will see. We will face him. Yep. He can't hide in Parliament and call us names. Do it to our faces. Call us far right to our faces. Call us far right to our faces.
The one that is behind me, and maybe his the wheel of fortune, and maybe his fortune has now finally come to an end. Because however way you spin it and spin the wheel, Jim, it's not going to happen, mate. Your days are numbered. 4 years. And what did you say? These boys will run out of material within a matter of weeks. 4 years later,
He was
and we're still here.
He was gonna be
and
put
we're
in
not going
prison.
anywhere.
He was gonna have us put in prison. Remember?
He's gonna have us put us in prison. I was arrested. All sorts of shenanigans. Talk to our employers. Talk here. Talk there. And actually denigrate us because they're the MPs and the shadow ministers. So people will think, ooh, Jim McMahon's after these guys. What are they going to do? Well, McMahon, I'm on your doorstep, pal.
And
I need an invite.
And like we're scared. Listen, McMahon, you tosspot. We grew up on the streets, you piece of shit. You think we're scared of a fucking hamster-faced twat like you? Anywhere you want, McMahon. Anywhere you fucking want. Dickhead.
Yep.
Absolute dickhead. Yeah.
Well,
as for that Debbie Kashmir, right? You know and I know the only reason she got elected is because the Labour Party racially divided the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshis. They are the racists.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And we know the scores. We know the tally of the votes, even when she was selected. But that's for internal Labour Party politics. I'm not interested. What I'm interested in is in the people of my town, the children of my town, the grooming and gang rape the kids in our town. And if you're shocked, Jim McMahon, as everybody else is, as you know, you play the victim within the Houses of Parliament, come here. I'm here, Jim. Come here with my own money, not on expenses, mate. Not on people's expenses, not on government expenses, not on taxpayers' money. I have paid for myself to come here. And it's not cheap. For those who know the train prices nowadays, they're absolutely quite extortionate that early in the morning. I'm paying for the accommodation and everything else. But I'm here, Jim. I'm waiting for you, pal. And I'll be here tomorrow as well. So if you want, send me a message. Send a message to your cronies, because you know who they are, because they talk to us. All your people in Oldham talk to us. And they're just as shocked as you, as anybody else. But they are afraid. They don't want to talk.
The Labour Party, the Pakistanis and the Bangladeshis and the Labour Party have had enough. They've contacted me and they're saying, you've shared too much. It's now too on top. We want to get rid of him. We want to get rid of Jim McMahon. If we get rid of him, will you stop? That is the deal on the table. If we get rid of him so we can carry on our business, will you stop? Well, I've got one thing to say to you boys. We're not stopping. Our town. We're not playing ghetto politics. We're not playing cartel games. We are standing up for our town and all of the people in our town.
Roger, obviously, because I'm on the call with you, I can't see no comments or any observations made by anybody. Is anybody asking any questions they want answering from me or yourself?
No, everyone's just saying great. It's great that you're down there, and he's a coward. He's a coward.
Yeah.
He's a coward.
Well, we're money where our mouth is. A lot of people have said, thought Moy had gone quiet. I was just keeping my powder dry. There's a time and a place. We've set the scene, and now we're actually on the pitch. It's not even half time yet, Jim. If you thought, like Brian Hoban said the other day, once upon a time, and they thought with this sham of a review, it will be the end. But I'll tell you what, mate, it's not even half time yet. It's not even half time. Oh, by the way, I'm bringing your own football, because otherwise I'll be booting you up and down the green grasses of Westminster. I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm here, mate. I'm here to take a penalty. Why don't you come and try and stop and take a penalty? Well, you are stopping, bro. I'll tell you what. I won't take a penalty. Take me for a nice coffee in the Palace of Westminster. Let's sit down. Let's have an amicable discussion. You know, man to man. You seem to have a lot to talk about. I remember. I'll share a little. This is what kind of an imbecile Jim McMahon is. When we were both councillors, and I was a cabinet member for Regeneration, we were at an event, a breakfast meeting with the business people of our town. And he sat there in front of people, and he made a denigrating comment towards me, purely because I was a Lib Dem and he was a Labour guy. And he was like, it was beneath him. You know, it was like, all you Lib Dems, and words that you can't really say on a programme. And he said it in front of lots of businessmen around the breakfast table. I'm like, what kind of a man are you, Jim? From that day onwards, I knew he was just...
A weasel. A weasel. He's a weasel.
He is a weasel.
He's a weasel.
He's a weasel. Comes running, crying.
Yeah.
He's gone to every single government agency you can think of, gone to everybody, gone to the police. And tell you what, mate, the people of my town are now demanding answers of you. What did you know, Jim? And actually, Jim, if you want a nuclear bomb, mate, I've got one for you. And for everybody listening on this programme, and people, I think, from now realise that over the 4 years, there's a lot of information that we've had that we've not released. And there's more things that we haven't released. So we've talked about Abdul Jabbar, we've talked about everybody else. Now, Jim McMahon, I'm asking the people of Oldham, next time when you see him, ask him, how did he know Shabir Daddy Ahmed? What was his connection with him? How did he know him personally? What actions did he have as a member of the Labour Party? And even after they found out of his misdemeanours, what did Jim do as leader of Oldham Council, leader of the Labour Party in Oldham, to protect the people of our town? Come on, Jim. You want nuclear weapons, mate? We've not even started yet, and that's just a little missile I've sent your way. There's more coming.
Well, thank you very much. You enjoy your day, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
That scumbag's not going to come and see you, mate. No, he's not going to come and see you.
Well, if it comes on the programme, if anyone knows where he is, you got my number, Raj. Give me a call.
Yeah.
I'll be around here in Westminster waiting for him. Speak soon, guys. Thanks for everybody listening.
Take care, mate.
And have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
That was my friend, Signor Pe. He could be like a roving reporter, couldn't he? Yeah. Coming in from Westminster Bridge, in front of Big Ben, and Brother Jamal is hiding for him. Jim McMahon is hiding from him. He's hiding from you. He's cancelled his surgeries. He's cancelled his appointments. What are we to do? Are we going to go down to Chadderton Town Hall or what? Are we going? Surgeries are usually on a Friday and usually on a Saturday. We don't have to do it tomorrow. We can do it next week. Are we going to go down to Chadderton Town Hall and march in? Because we're allowed to do that in a democracy. We're allowed to march in. Are we going to Chadderton Town Hall and marching in and facing that hamster cheek, child, paedophile, enabling piece of... he's not even a piece of shit. He's worse than a piece of shit. He is a paedophile enabler. Are we going to go down and face him at Chadderton Town Hall? How can you have an MP? He's attacking me. He's attacking you. Far right, racist. Well, Jim, you can go on about the schools all you want, mate. You've had me investigated at every level, and at every level I've been cleared. So how about we put you through the same investigation? How about we have you arrested? How about we see what sort of assets you've got here and abroad or elsewhere, Jim? Samosa nibbling piece of... We're going. We are going to go to Chadderton Town Hall, and I'm gonna use the facilities. I'm gonna use the facilities that you paid for, £100,000 to do up the toilets for Jim McMahon, and he's hiding in Parliament, ranting. He doesn't even have the decency. This is the contempt. Seriously, now I'm serious now. Yeah, this is the contempt he holds all of you in. He doesn't have the decency to face the constituents of the town who have been told that our children have been systematically groomed and gang raped, and those actions have been covered up. He doesn't have the decency to face us. Instead, he calls this stupid debate, motion, adjournment, whatever. There's 2 people in there, plus maybe 2 or 3 more, and he's ranting on about me. Mate, I'm not the convicted heroin dealer here. Let's get things in perspective. I'm not the guy who was the chairman of Oldham Central Mosque that you hang around with, who was convicted for sex offences. Got a driving licence somewhere. I've not even got points on my driving licence. Had me arrested falsely. Debbie Abrams falsely. And look at him. Absolutely look at him. But the story of today, and I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that right now. If you find value in my work, there are, I don't know how many of you are watching, I've not even turned it on. Oh, Steve is laughing at him. Give me a second so I can see what comes up on my screen. If you find value in these transmissions, and there's 160 of you here, if you find value in these transmissions, please like. There's 44 of you liked so far. There's 160 of you watching. Buy me a samosa. Buy me a samosa. Buy me 2 samosas. I don't get any expenses. So please buy me a samosa. Send over some... send over what you can. Or better still, subscribe to the ghost.io. Recusant9.ghost.io. Because that's where I published all my work. And we're on... They won't go near him, Gary. They won't go near him because I'll give you 3 reasons why they won't go near him. One, they've just seen the want-to-be next Prime Minister of this country get his arse handed to him by a bunch of working class folk from Oldham. So Andy Burnham's just had his arse handed to him, and they've seen the report. The second reason they won't go to him and go anywhere near him and Debbie is because actually him and Debbie aren't very well liked. They're not very well liked. And the third reason is they've seen the work we've done, and they've seen that we will not be silenced, we will not be intimidated. And do you think, you know, the moment when, Gary, when I decided I wasn't going to commit suicide, that's when it went. And after that, there is absolutely nothing that man or anyone else can say to me that will in any way bother me. Like, because I do not give a, I don't care what he's got to say. I don't care what he's got to say. And that wouldn't surprise me either. That wouldn't surprise me either. That wouldn't surprise me either. Right. Please, in all seriousness, you've got to like this. I want this up a bit more because the only way this works is the more likes we have, the more the YouTube algorithm shares, the more the YouTube algorithm shares, the wider our audience gets. The only voice we have, let's be honest, the only voice we really have to reach out is through these transmissions. We are fighting the machinery of the establishment. We are fighting the Labour Party. We are fighting the privileges that they have in Parliament. We're fighting the mainstream media, and we're fighting the cartels. We're fighting Andy Burnham and all of a lot from the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and we're doing it, as they're increasingly finding, we're doing it by facing them, standing up to them and telling our own stories and raising awareness. And this awareness now is no longer just in Oldham, it's across the country. People are outraged across the country as to what's gone on. So please like, please share, please do whatever you can to keep these transmissions going. And I will now share with you some serious stuff, all right? Yes, I think so. Okay, so this went out from Sam. So every MP, urgent attention, Commons debate. You can see from Sam, and it was I think Oldham Together need to put it on We Are All Oldham. So, but I want to read it to you first because I want to give it some context. There has been significant corruption and continuous cover-up within our town by the hands of our MP, Greater Manchester Police, our Greater Manchester Mayor and Oldham Council. Our town, our residents and us victims have no faith or trust in our council or elected MP, and we want an independent investigation into Oldham Council. Us victims want our cases independently investigated, not by the force who lied to us, who have threatened us and hid crucial evidence for over 16 years. Our town was in full uproar on Monday the 27th of June at a full council meeting where councillors across all parties have called for an independent investigation and were still not being listened to and instead being accused of abusing the panel. I am calling as a survivor and on behalf of other survivors. We are asking each and every one of you to attend this debate and call out Jim McMahon's lies and corruptions. A survivor of the Grooming Gang is specifically referring to Jim McMahon as a liar and corrupt. There is no ambiguity here. There is no ambiguity here. A survivor of the Grooming Gangs is making reference to the then leader of Oldham Council, MP Keir Starmer's shadow minister, as a liar and corrupt. Let me show you the evidence. Let me show you the evidence. This is the letter that's made reference to in the CSE report. Linked to, and I'll call her Sam now because she wants to be called Sam as well, doesn't she? It's not Sophie, so I'll call her Sam as well. This is the letter. I have this letter because I was given this letter the day it went, or before it went, by a husband who's now passed. Clearly, in my opinion, committed suicide because of the stress of all of this. That's what's happened. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Maggie Oliver's made reference to it as well. Okay? So this is the letter. It's extensive. I'm going to get to the page I want first. Oldham Local Authority. You can see it. Keith Faz, in a letter dated the 23rd of May 2012 to Jim McMahon as the leader of the council. I want you to remember that. They're claiming Jim McMahon had nothing to do with it in the CSE report. Here is the chairman of the Home Affairs Committee on a letter dated the 23rd of November 2012 to Jim McMahon as the leader of the council. And when you write to the leader of the council, you copy in the chief executive. So that's what he did. Required an explanation for why social services files dated the 29th of June 2006, dated in response to my disclosing the offences, blah, blah, blah. You can see that. They refused to investigate due to the passage of time. Prior to this, the council had issued a letter to Keith Vaz MP on the 17th of December 2012, refusing to answer his inquiries on the basis that the matter he raised were not relevant to the council due to the passage of time, and because when I made a complaint to the council, it formed a view the complaint was vexatious and litigious, thus following outside of the complaints process. They came up with a technicality not to look at it. The council, Jim McMahon's Oldham Council, did this. Black and white. The council were clearly aggressive. Both Jim McMahon, as leader of the council, and the chief executive at the time were aware of the case. Not only did they not disclose it to the opposition parties in Oldham Council, they also refused to investigate the matter seriously or take any substantive action in response to the concerns presented to them. Cover up there. You can see, taken together, however, it appears to evidence a cover up involving all. Right. There you see it. In black and white. Okay? In black and white, it's fair. I want to show you something now. Jim McMahon was aware. Unless you're calling, this is lies. And it's not. Here we go. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, you can see that. Great. Okay. The chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee raised Sophie's case with Oldham Council and asked the council to let them know what steps had been taken to protect her. They are intentionally omitting Jim McMahon's name. Do you see? You don't write Dear Oldham Council. The chair of the Home Affairs Committee would not have written Dear Oldham Council on the letter. Okay? No way would the chair of the Home Affairs Committee have written Dear Oldham Council. The council's response was inadequate. Look. You can see it there. The council's response was inadequate. So he wrote to Jim McMahon, leader of the council. A senior manager. Do you see Newsom and Ridgway's avoidance? Who is a senior manager? Who was a senior manager? Stated in an internal email that there was very little, if anything, to support allegations of a failure to protect. Let me read that again. Oldham Council responded to the Home Affairs Committee, Select Committee. Sophie Sam is very clear and her husband were very clear. Jim McMahon was aware. They'd spoken with Keith Faz. And Jim McMahon's response, Jim McMahon's council's response was that there was very little, if anything, to support allegations of a failure to protect. And this is the full reply, or about the reply. The social care records have been carefully reviewed by a senior officer and legal services. We do not consider that there is evidence. We do not consider that there is evidence to substantiate the claims in Sophie's complaint. And they're claiming the passage of time. It was too long ago, so we can't be bothered. It was too long ago, so we can't be bothered. Ridgway and Newsom and these cover-up merchants are still having to admit that we regard this as poor professional judgment by a senior officer. Who was the senior officer? Remember, it's not just a senior officer. Have a look further up here. Have a look further up. Here, let me just... Legal services were involved as well. Was that you, Paul Entwistle? Who was legal services? I cannot for a moment think that the lawyer, the senior lawyer in the council would not have been involved in that response to the chairman of the Home Affairs Committee. No chance. No chance whatsoever. Unacceptable response. So they're saying it was an unacceptable response. A competent review of Sophie's file would have revealed the numerous warning signs, and also that the council and Greater Manchester Police had failed to follow their own procedures in protecting Sophie, and this is the bit, who was only 12 years old at the time. And this is the cover-up merchants at their best. We have found no evidence that this approach was influenced by Leader A. Leader A is Jim McMahon, who was the leader of the council at the time, or any other politician. Let me explain what's meant to happen. When Keith Vaz wrote that letter to Jim McMahon as leader of the council, Jim McMahon should have taken it to Hughie MacDonald, who at the time was in charge of children's safety in his council role. He wasn't. So the only person that hid it from Hughie MacDonald, who was in charge of that, the only person who could have hid it was Jim McMahon. No one else could have hidden it. No one else could have hidden it. And the letter went to Jim McMahon, and here they're avoiding, can you see? They're avoiding saying who that letter went to or who responded. Do you see that? It is clear from the evidence that the response was led by the senior professional responsible for safeguarding at the time. Absolute nonsense. Supported by the council's legal document. Are you telling me that the leader of the council, who had received this letter from the most powerful government committee, decided he'd not seen the letter, he didn't open the letter, he wasn't aware of the letter, and he was in no way involved in the response of the letter? Are you taking us for fools, Ridgway and Newsman? And the reason why they're taking us for fools, is because they have had sight of the letter from the Home Affairs Committee from Keith Vaz, and they have had sight of all the internal communications and the responses. And that will prove Jim McMahon was involved, and that is why we need a public inquiry. That is why we need a public inquiry, because the victim, the main victim in this report, the only one who's case studied in this report, is claiming the MP involved is a liar, and that is cross-referenced with massive holes in the CSE report that Ridgway and Newsom published last week. Ridgway and Newsom are claiming that Jim McMahon did not know. No, they're not even claiming that. This is how clever they are. They're not even claiming that. Let me bring it back up and you'll see. Clever use of language. Very clever use of language. We have found no evidence that this approach was influenced by Leader A. So that means he knew about it. Otherwise, they would have said he was not aware. That means he knew about it. So how have you not found evidence that it was influenced by Leader A? Because the council, who are responsible for giving you all the paperwork, who've already been proven to have been lying, and Greater Manchester Police proven to have been lying, have hidden the paperwork from you of his involvement. We have found no evidence. You didn't go looking for any evidence, did you? They've not sent you stuff. This is one of the most powerful politicians in this country, neck deep in a scandal involving the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children, and he is hiding in Parliament, calling me names. I am sharing with you black and white evidence from their own reports. I am sharing with you black and white evidence from their own reports. They're trying to make some senior professional, unnamed senior professional, the fall guy. No. With leadership comes responsibility. This clearly demonstrates, the wording on this clearly demonstrates Jim McMahon knew. Sophie and her husband, Sam and her husband, are very clear Jim McMahon knew. The letter from Keith Vaz went to Jim McMahon. Are you telling me some junior person responded to the Home Affairs Committee and Jim McMahon had no influence over the response? Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The man, this MP, passage of time. Are you proud? Are you people in Oldham proud that you've elected this man repeatedly? A man who turned his back on the grooming and gang rape of our town's children and then tried to cover it up. Are you proud? Why is, if he has nothing to hide, why is Jim McMahon not supporting calls for an independent inquiry into the cover-up of grooming and gang rape of our town's children and the involvement of Shabir Daddy Ahmed, the Jimmy Savile of the grooming world, of the grooming gang world? That's what he is. Shabir Daddy Ahmed is the Jimmy Savile of the grooming gang world. He had a network across the Northwest. Greater Manchester Police also lied. Less than candid approach is the closest that Ridgway and Newsom will get to calling Greater Manchester Police liars. But that's what that means, less than candid approach. There you go. That's the open letter I've shared with you. Here we go. Confirmation, the council's response. Well, who wrote the response? Who signed the response off? Who signed the response off? Why aren't you saying it? And you can see, due to the passage of time. Refused to answer. Refused to answer the chairman of the Home Affairs Committee due to the passage of time. We asked Oldham Council to share with the review team all reports, minutes of meetings, emails and communications, whether the electronic format or hard copy held on various council systems. So why aren't they in the appendices? Why aren't they in the appendices? Why are they not in the appendices? Why is Keith Vaz's letter and Oldham Council's response, which is key in this, not in the appendices? And here is Gerard, proven to be a liar. Were informed by Oldham Council that neither party had agreed to be interviewed. Were informed by Oldham Council that neither party had agreed. So Sophie or her advocate, I don't know who her advocate was. You can see that. Who in Oldham Council said that? They met with Sophie's social worker, Oldham Council employee by the way, who indicated that any further approach to the review team or an intermediary of the review team would be potentially detrimental to Sophie's welfare. Where did they get that nonsense from? Where did they get that nonsense from? Sophie was fully aware how to contact the review team if she changed her mind. Sophie is now clearly saying she never said she didn't want to speak to them. So you've got to have said you didn't want to speak to them to be able to change your mind. So there you go. Council lie. And this, by the way, is their methodology. So it shows their methodology was flawed from the offset because they're relying on the council for evidence. We asked Oldham Council to share with the review team all the reports. Who believes them? Who believes Oldham Council shared all the reports? And here you go. Gerard Jones needs sacking. He would not say it was him at that meeting. We received a letter from Oldham's Managing Director of Children's Services, that's at Gerard Jones, on the 21st of May 2021, advising the review team that the council believed that any further approach to Sophie to seek her consent to participate in the review could be seriously damaging to her welfare. There is Gerard Jones writing to the review team. It's there in black and white, and you were all at that meeting with me, or you've seen it on the video, where he refuses to acknowledge that. Gerard Jones should now be suspended with immediate effect. He stood in front on that dais and lied to the council and lied to the members of the public. Here is the evidence in black and white that the man is a liar, and Councillor Brian Hoban was right to call him out as a liar. Here it is. We'll play the video if you want to play the video. Here is the review team report, clearly showing Gerard Jones wrote to them, telling them any further approach to Sophie to seek her consent to participate in the review could be seriously damaging to her welfare. There you go. Black and white. My brother Jamal, I can do this all day. I can do this all day. Because lies are easy to unpick. And I can do this all day long. If you're finding value in this transmission, please like, please share. Let's be honest. No one else is going to do this for you. No one else is going to do this for you. Here is the next lie. Here is the next lie. And this is why, and it's from Newsom and Ridgway. On the 23rd of November 2012, the Chief Executive of Oldham Council received a letter from the Chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. Sophie's adamant, as was her husband, that the letters went to JIM McMAHON. So maybe the Chief Executive was one of the recipients, but taking out the leader of the council? Nah. Associate Assistant Director A. I have looked at both files now and read every page. Very little, if anything, to support her husband's allegations. Who was the council's legal department? Who was he speaking to? Was it Paul Entwistle, who was absent, by the way, on Monday? Newsom and Ridgway, wholly unrealistic assessment. That means she lied. That means the council lied. And do you think the letter went back without the leader of the council? What should have happened? Protocol, and Huey will agree with me. He was in charge of this. The councillor in charge of child welfare safeguarding at the time was Huey MacDonald. He was not made aware of any of this. He was not made aware of any of this. The Chief Executive subsequently replied to the Chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. They've decided she might have had ADHD, although no diagnosis was made. So they're trying to shift responsibility. The social care records have been carefully reviewed by a senior officer and legal services, and we do not consider that there is evidence to substantiate the claims made. Again, inadequate response from a senior politician, that's the Keith Vaz. Again, keen to defend him. We have found no evidence that this approach was influenced by Leader A. Let me turn this around for you. If it wasn't influenced by Leader A, then he wasn't doing his job. Do you understand? If it wasn't influenced, means he was aware of it. So he was aware of what the response was. He should have intervened and said, this is wrong. He should have influenced it. And he should have influenced it to say, this is a cover-up and we can't send this off. That's what he should have done. He should have influenced it. He should. And if the leader isn't influencing it, then it shows a complete breakdown of how the council was supposed to have been run. Jim McMahon's council. Do you see? Do you understand? I work in a, I've spent time of my life working in restaurants. Thankfully, the restaurants I always worked in were clean. Never an issue with any of the health. But if you have a restaurant that is done for poor hygiene, who's responsible? Is it the chef? So it's been, dishing out rat-infested food. Is it the cleaner's fault? No, it's the guy who owns it's the guy at the top, it's the guy who owns it. He should have intervened. He can't say, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know this is what they were doing. That's no defense. I didn't know is no defense. I believe that's not what happened, but that's the defense they're using. Jim McMahon is saying, I didn't know. Jim McMahon is saying, I didn't know. All day. Here all day. We can break this down all day. And you know, they didn't even bother approaching the MP and the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. Didn't even bother. So they didn't bother approaching the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee or the Home Affairs Select Committee at all. And they didn't bother approaching the victim because they've been warned off the victim, as proven by Gerard Jones, Managing Director of Children's Services, and he sat in front of all of you and at best misled you. No, he lied, didn't he? He lied. How can this town trust the safety of our children in the hands of that man when he stands in front of hundreds of people, thousands of you watching online, and he lies? How can he? Evidenced. This, McMahon, is what you call evidence. On your watch, saying you did not influence it does not protect you. It damns you because you should have influenced it. You should have intervened and you should have said, we are not going to be partners in this cover-up. And apparently, we are the right wing. We are the racists. Debbie Abrams, we're going to defeat you at the general election. Jim McMahon, I don't even think you'll make it to the general election. You're going to be thrown out of Parliament. And if you're not thrown out of Parliament, we're going to take you out at the general election as well. He should have intervened, saying, I did not know. He was aware the letter had come in. And then opting out of the response and saying he had no involvement in the construction of the response, the construction of the cover-up, is no defence. It's no defence whatsoever. In no legal setting is that a defence. In no public sector setting would that be allowed as a defence. You're in charge, it's on your watch, you were aware of it, but you weren't aware of the response. No. It doesn't stack up. Has never stacked up and will never stack up. And that's why Sam is calling him corrupt and is calling the MP for Oldham West and Royton, Keir Starmer, Shadow Minister, a liar. The victims of the grooming gangs in Oldham are calling the leader of the council at the time and now the MP a liar. And Keir Starmer still has him on the shadow bench. And all he can do is rant about me. Anyone for a samosa? If you find value in these transmissions, please like, please share, please support me financially. My journey here in this is coming to an end, I think, the way things are, I'm afraid. I have enough to do a transmission a month and the odd newsletter, which is not going to carry us over the line. Unfortunately, it's not going to carry us over the line. But, you know, I've also got to take care of me and mine. And this what I do. If anyone else was doing it, it would have been done by now. My name is Raj Amir. Today I was name checked by JIM McMAHON whilst Moyabuddin was stood outside, refuses to face him, cancelled all of his surgeries, no appointments, he's even turned off his comments on Facebook, I think, from what I can tell. Do I look like I'm running? There's another. There's so much more in this document.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.